So I've always hated these stupid amp steel connectors. I don't know what it is about them, but I've never just gotten good crimps out of them, just ever. So I'm going to give it a shot today with the iCrimp tools here. I'm going to just try a couple different ones here and just see if we can get one to crimp where it should be. So we're already off to a bad start. Okay, so the thing about this is that if these pins are even slightly bent, and I mean ever so slightly bent, they do not seat correctly. All right, we're gonna give this another shot here and just see. Okay. Nope, not good. All right, so unfortunately it just does not seem like these are up to the, it doesn't seem like these are up to the task, unfortunately, for this job.
A few moments later.
Okay, so this doesn't seem too bad. So let's try this. And the thing about these, right, is that they're supposed to just go, obviously just go right in. And when they do go in, they're supposed to be easy to release as well. So this one is battery 12 volt. So this is going to pin 12. Okay. So that's seated pretty well. Let's close the retainer here and see. Oh yeah. So you can see that the pin is all the way up front. It's nice and tight. So that's one. Let's see if we can actually remove it though, since that's actually the hard part. You guys are not going to believe this. I was actually able to crimp these in. And so to remove these, you just twist them and pull, and they eventually come out. That's if you didn't screw up and get a pin bent. And look at that, came right out. So I went ahead and I thought it was just dumb luck, right? I thought it was just beginner's luck. So I went ahead and did another one just to see, and same deal. I can twist this and it comes right out. Man, I am super stoked about this. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this at all, but the pins sit perfectly. I've removed them just to see. So I've got the basic stuff wired up for the ADU. We've got battery power, key on, ground, and then can high and can low just wired up temporarily. So at this point I can really just make a connector here to hook up CAN bus, and then find the connector where these need to go on the factory gauge cluster, and bam, we will in fact have an ADU working. Alright, so we got our power probe here, and what we're going to do is we're going to suss out battery power is what we're going to suss out. So this is constant power here. I don't know what this pin is. I'm not sure how to extract this connector out, so I'm going to grab some tools, but this pin here is constant battery power. Now the next thing that we're going to look for is the keys. As always, I lost something somewhere. All right, I'm back. So we're going to turn the key on, and we're going to turn off the windshield wipers, and now we're going to look for our key on power. Now I've learned my lesson with the grounds here, and I don't trust the grounds off the gauge cluster because it could be all sorts of sensors. Okay, let's check this connector here. Okay, so I found one key on power. Let's see if there's a second. Okay, there's a second key on power. Okay, so there's 2 key on powers, or there was. Oh, here it is. Okay, so that's our one key on power. The other one was over here. Okay, so both of them have power while cranking, which is a good sign. So we've got that mapped out. The next thing is we're going to have to figure out how to remove the pins from here. So I'm going to go grab some tools, probably just some pliers. It looks like just this retainer we push down on this end, and then we can pull this out. So let me grab some tools and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got armed with a pick tool and a small flathead screwdriver. We're going to see how we can remove this connector here. Ow! Ow, that freaking hurt. I guess that's what happens when you stab yourself with a sharp pick tool. So this pick tool is not going to work. And you know what? He's not ever going to the back gauge cluster, so I don't think I'd need to remove these pins, to be honest with you. But removing the pins just makes me happy. I mean, that's really the truth about it, is that I just enjoy removing pins, which I guess is a weird thing to like. So walking in and out the shop like 30 times trying to find a different pick tool, I guess I really could have saved a lot of time if I just went ahead and grabbed all of them, but none of them worked. So instead of cutting the power wires, I decided I'm just going to tap into them for now. Now there's a reason why. The reason is that eventually I'm going to have to go back and wire up all the functionality features. So for instance, I'm going to have to go back and I'm going to wire up the indicators, turn signals, high beam, stuff like that. So I need to be able to have the stock cluster somewhat functional. And the reason why I really actually don't even need it functional, but having it functional does make it a little bit easier for me to go back and check. So for now, I'm just going to tap everything in. So I've already got power here, battery power. We're going to tap for key on power now, and then we'll find a suitable ground for the ADU. So I actually found our first issue here. So initially I found this for key on power, this one over here. Let me see if I can tap back into it real quick here. But guess what? It actually fluctuates with the turn signal. So that's not a good suitable key on power there. This one on the other hand, over here on this side, this one doesn't seem to do anything with turn signals or high beam indicator. So we're going to tap this one for power here, which Alright, so we got our CAN to USB here down by my groin, just hanging out down there. It's hooked up to the ADU, so we're going to key it on, and bam, it's already on. Now the really cool thing I like about the ADU software is that it is real time. So there's a couple of generic pages here, right? So this is generic page 1. We're going to click to generic page 2, and you'll see that in the software changes. And then as you can see in the actual main display it changes. So I'm going to just kind of go through them real quick on the laptop, and you can see how we can change all this real time. So just to show you guys the power of this, why this dash is so good. But okay, so we've got that wired up. As you can see, we've got to run the wires down to the Haltech through the CAN bus. So Haltech says that their CAN is at 1 megabyte per second, or 1 megabyte transfer rate. So there's two ways of tapping into the Haltech. We can either A, tap through here. We could probably get like a Y splitter or something like that, or B, we can tap through the main connectors here. Now the unfortunate thing is that I do have DT connectors, so I potentially could make a Y, but I don't have main connectors. I don't have pins for the main connector. So since we got the ADU done as far as our basic wiring goes, today I'm going to go ahead and start making a couple pins here. So there's a few we've got to do here, and the ones that we have to do are going to be our indicator wires. So we've got high beam, turn signals, and just the brake switch is really all we have. So oil pressure is getting a sensor, fuel pressure is getting its own sensor. So like I said, the only thing that we're dealing with are going to be the factory indicators. So we got 4 wires completed. So we'll have left and right turn signal, high beam indicator, and e-brake indicator. And the reason why the e-brake one is important is because if you start running low on brake fluid, you know, that light's going to illuminate. So we got these 4 going here, and that's what we'll plumb those in for. And then we'll just take a peek at the other ones to see if there's anything else that we're going to need, but this will be just enough to kind of get started. So I did some snooping around and I found the left and right turn signals. I have verified them through the service manual as pins 22 and 31, and that's like the left and the right turn signals respectively. So these 2 wires, I just kind of pulled them up out of the way for now, and we'll end up tapping these 2 for obviously our turn signals. So now I am after our high beam indicator, which is pins 21 and 30. So I've got to see which one goes to where. So we found the high beam indicator, which is pin 30, which is yellow red, which is this one right here. So as you can hear, it's ground, but when I pull the lever, it goes to power. So that works out really good because that means that our indicators are all right there. So now the only one that's left that we've got to find is going to be the e-brake warning light. Our final pin that we need to find is the e-brake. Now the e-brake is actually done by ground. So this is pin 52, it's yellow black. And as you see, I dropped the e-brake and it goes away, pull up, and it grounds like it's supposed to. So that's the e-brake wire there. So we got our ones that we need to tap into temporarily. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna start tapping into these wires, and before I do anything else, I'm not gonna pin them into the ADU connector just yet, just because I need to verify whether they're analog inputs or they're going to be digital inputs. Now, I believe that the ones that go to power are gonna be an analog, and then I believe anything that is not will go to a digital input, but I'll verify that here shortly. Well, here's something fun. I thought I was recording the entire time, but I obviously was not. So you guys didn't miss anything. I just tapped all the wires. So we're just gonna test it. So e-brake is working. Then we should have, let's see here. That's turn signal. That's other turn signal. And then this should be high beam. Perfect. All right, so I located the fuel level here, which is pin 3. So I do want to mention something here. This car is a GST. On the GSXs, they actually have 2 fuel levels. We had an issue with a green Eclipse that we had did a all-wheel drive swap on, but there is a funkiness with the fuel level on the GSXs. This is a GST, so we don't have to concern about it, but you know, just a random tidbit of knowledge. Anyways, so we got fuel level here hooked up. Now this one is going to require a converter. We'll get more into that later. And then I've made an extra pin here, and this is going to be for 5 volt, and that's going to be concerned with this, and if we wire any other sensors into the ADU. So now at this point we're pretty much ready to go ahead and start hooking things up into the ADU connector. So I did find out that the grounded wires, like this one here, is going to go into the digital inputs, and while anything that's 12 volt powered, meaning that it goes to 12 volt, will go into an analog input. So high beam indicator and turn signals are going to go into that, and then the e-brake will go into a digital output, or digital input, excuse me. Okay, so I've got some ADU stuff done here. So what I'm going to do now is just basically I'm going to add the inputs here. So we've got the right input, and so if we go to our spreadsheet, analog 3 is our input. And so if we look in here, you can see the analog inputs are actually working. So we're just going to go through this, and we'll knock out the e-brake and the high beam stuff for now. We haven't made displays just yet, so we're going to be working on that. But for now, all we're doing is just putting our analog inputs in that one digital input that we have, just to get it all configured and working. Okay, so we're just going to do a functionality check. Here is the e-brake, and it is currently down. If I pull up, it should go to 1, which it does. Now we're going to look at our high beams and low beam and all the other indicators there. Let's close this pane really quick. Okay, so I'm going to turn on the left turn, right turn, high beam, and then with hazards, obviously they should both work. So here's a neat little trick that I've learned over the years. What we're going to do is we're going to put all of our indicators onto a page. So we've got a new page open, and it's going to work as an overlay. So when I set up this page down here, regardless of what screen you dial it to, you'll always have those indicators. So the hard part actually is just trying to find a spot to have all your indicators that is going to play well with all the other pages. You know what I mean? So that's what we're going to do now. I'll go ahead and I'll set up a page just really quickly, just so you guys can see the proof of concept. Okay, so I've only got the left turn signal set up. As you can see, it's a page overlay, and the active channel is 1. So that means, like in computer speak, it's like 1 is on, 1 is active, and 0 is off. So with it on 1, it's always active. So you can see it, that it's flashing there. So here, this is just what the page looks like. So you're flashing, there's no background or anything like that, but you can see in the actual ADU it's flashing, right? So I'm going to switch it to a different page. Whoops, I was digging around with some settings and I kind of set where the first page would get stuck. Anyways, so as you switch between the displays, you can still, because it's an overlay, you can see that the turn signals are always active no matter what. So we'll go ahead and start making our other icons on the overlay, and then we should be good. However, I'm gonna have to stop because we're starting to lose power.